kind of limitations of what we have. Mac Finder, the same situation. We've got the checkout functionality there. Just wanted to make you aware if you ever needed to use it. But again, if you've got an account, ask support to enable it on your account. Ask them to enable everything. Restricted zones, web access to connectors, use it or not, it doesn't matter. It's just there. But again, I agree. I think we should put in an admin panel and let you decide. Lessen the calls to the help desk as well. So on-demand sync, again, you guys probably know how it works, and for people who haven't really played around with it, people log onto a Zen app session, and all of a sudden they think their files are there. There's an interpretation of the files. Ultimately, all it does is a little start shortcut of the file, and people think they've got the file. They click on it, the file comes down, and it actually puts that on disk. So profiles are small, they don't bloat, and the I/O goes down dramatically. Office 2013, if you've got that and you install sync automatically, you can kind of add it as a place. It's a small little feature here, but I wanted to make you aware of that one. And the ShareFile desktop, this is the one where I think it suits BYO laptop scenario. And the reason why, again, you can put it on a desktop. It works like a mobile application. You're in the one application, you're doing everything from inside a container. Okay? We haven't locked it down because you can still download the file and take it out, that container onto your desktop. But the concept is there, it's really good. Allows you kind of to use a lot of functionality the web UI has. You can drag and drop files into different repositories, copy, upload, it's kind of really easy to use. And the nice thing about it is, and it kicks off a flow, so if you open that, it opens your local Excel, you edit the file, close it, and automatically uploads it. So it kind of kicks that little process off, a little mini process. Again, we need to work out how to even secure that for the enterprises, in certain scenarios. So people don't bring data out onto their native laptop, so keep them inside that container. So
when you edit a file, and when you close your apps, it updates the file on the shared folder, but does it create a new version of the file, or it replaces the existing one?
It creates versions.
Yeah, so you could have many versions of the same file.
And the thing is, you can change your versioning policies on your whole account. And when you do that on the global setting, in admin, advanced preferences, file management, it changes it for my files and folders. Okay, so if you say 10 versions across the whole company, everyone's my files and folders will be 10 versions only. In shared folders, you can actually right-click the shared folder on the root, and you can change the version policy on that. It's actually 2 versions because people are uploading ISOs and videos, things like that. I know it's a bit of a kind of manual setup, but you've got to kind of think that through, and you're right, it does multiple versions. The good thing about this, it actually kind of exposes everything from the web interface, so I don't find myself having to go to the web interface except security permissions. That's the only one thing. So I can share and request files from here. And it's got the options the web interface has got. I can use email, share file, I can actually copy the link and take it anywhere else. And it gives me the options to kind of customize the link there. What's really neat about this is the offline access is encrypted at rest. So I downloaded my files on my laptop, close the laptop, lose my laptop, those files are encrypted at rest, which is good. And that's why I see it as a BYO scenario to be used.
Do you have a question for that?
Yes.
Self-destruct.
Yeah, it should work with that drive mapper and the mobile apps. Yeah. So you should be able to revoke it, wipe it, and it should be killing the account. And again, I tried to test it, but I had too many devices and I think I was revoking the wrong one. Remote wipe is something that I've seen on the list to come for Sync, for Mac and Windows as well. And the reason why we didn't do it like at the beginning of this year or last year, the end of last year, there were very many unknowns with remote wipe. It's different remote wiping on a mobile device because you're doing the ShareFile application, but doing someone's desktop, there was a kind of like, it could be their personal data, there was this whole unknown. That's why they delayed it, but they're going to do it. But again, this is good because if we can put some really good enterprise policies around it and keep those laptop users inside this whole container to use and give them some functionality to, if they edit something, that it's secure coming out to Excel and saving back in, something like that, a flow, or maybe embed an editor inside there, maybe integrate the Office 365 editing, something there. This is a really good tool for people. This is why, to me, it wins, because we had customers saying, oh, I have to enable encryption on all my hard disks. But you don't have to if you've got something. For certain companies, I'm not speaking for everyone, because people like belt and braces for some security. What's nice, network shares and SharePoint. You've got access to connectors. You can take them all offline, and then just go offline and edit your documents. The moment you save them there, the moment you go back online, it synchronizes it to where they came from. It goes back to the source. And this is where the versioning comes up. Rather than going to the web interface, you've got the versions there. It's got everything. The Outlook plugin, you probably know the Outlook plugin. It's one of our most popular tools, and it's easy to use. That's why everyone who knows Outlook can just relate to it instantly. 5 minutes training. It's not, a whole 1 hour session. What's good about it is you can it's an intuitive experience. You've got zero restrictions of file, literally, so you can actually drag a 10 gig file onto the email, and it will just put it into a queue, put the link there, and then upload it to your ShareFile account and share the link. Things like that. So it kind of takes the limitation, takes overhead off the Exchange as well. Again, that's why you've probably got to get the Exchange people in the room to discuss it, because it changes their direction of attachments. You've got some good policies. You can leave these up to the users to change to whether they want to use ShareFile as the tool, or whether they want to always use it. You can leave these for users to choose. You can get them to expire when they want their links. You can require recipients to log in. It's something that I find that customers are using in enterprise is, I want someone to authenticate.
Can you disable so a client that has access to a certain file cannot use the application on iOS or Android to log in also, so they have to use the web only? Can you disable that access?
Or a client or an
Yeah, so
employee?
if you require a recipient to log in, then it will be created as a client, get a password, and can log in. As soon as they can do that, they can download the ShareFile app from the App Store,
Yeah.
and use that also to access the same files, but
They can use it as a type of read-only repository, can't they?
yeah.
The thing is with the mobile apps, if we disable the mobile app, it will disable all the public store apps. You've got to have an MDM in place.
So you cannot just say
So we can
disable it for clients only.
No. No, we can't.
You can check with expiration policy. I mean, when you request a file from someone, you can, in the policy, just write that it will be available for 1 hour, 2 hours.
That is correct, but if you have, let's say I'm sharing something with a company we're doing a collaboration for a couple of weeks and they have access to a shared folder, and
The client has access.
The client has access
to mobile apps.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can use the mobile app and read only, which is something that the PM, I don't think they were aware of it really, but ultimately, if we disable it now, I think we might upset a few customers who are using, who have got clients using that as their, I mean, you can't edit when you're a client,
No.
but you can still use the mobile app, I know. So we can't, the only way we can disable it is that you have an MDM and you've deployed an MDM version of ShareFile or the MDX version of ShareFile with disabled public store apps. Clients won't use them, but that's the only way.
Can we change the settings by a group policy or something? For example,
So this is what's good, is that you can leave the user to do that themselves, but then if you want to enforce that, you can lock this down. Before, you had to, again, raise something to the help desk and say, can I lock the Outlook plugin down? Can I force that this is grayed out and force down? Can I say download per user, force it? Can I force the request files? Can I, you have to request them through the help desk, and it's kind of like a pain. So what we've done recently, again, I'm just going to go through this, is we've exposed, if you go to the Power Tools section, where are you?
Right, so
It's above there, isn't it? There, that's it. So the Power Tools section, we've exposed that, and you can do it all yourself. So the web UI, so you can set the policy.
Do we have to ask to get access to that, or is it
No,
just
that's automatic. It's just popped up in the web UI recently.
which version of Outlook is currently supported with the plugin?
Any version, right?
Yeah.
So George, you go on scope, so
Yeah, that's fine.
whatever you want to bring.
Okay. Let's see.
Justin?
Oh, cool. All right. We'll break in. I'll do after this slide, and we'll take a little break. Yeah, and then we'll resume. Okay? Because of course, in that time it's got so the attachment policy is here is you can set it as a default. So if you want your end users to have a default set, you can set it. But then you can say prevent user changes, meaning you're forcing that down. So anyone who installs the Outlook plugin and configures it to the ShareFile account, it will lock down all those policies. So you can lock down your links, you can lock down your expiration policy, you can make it a month across the whole company. So you can customize the Outlook to what you like, and you can actually customize it based
Is
on
there any way of being more granular than that? Is it an all or nothing thing? So no users can change it, or all the users can?
correct. And again, we need the role-based.
Yeah.
We did some APIs for role-based. They're there, but we haven't completed the project to do a role-based access. And that was the concept, exactly what you mean, is say, actually, for the C-level, let them do what they want. But for all other employees, I want to put them in a group and they get forced down different policies there. But, you know, exposing that in the intranet was out of the intranet into the ShareFile. We call the intranet the back end, it's called the intranet. But, we exposed it, now companies can do their own kind of bannering, and they can do their customizations and change it and kind of manage themselves. You know, max downloads per user, you can force that down. I like this one. I found a lot of enterprises login required. There's no anonymous links get sent out. And you click that to prevent the changes. And then you can kind of just do what you like on there. So I'll tell you what, we'll take a break now, and then we'll come back and resume from here. So I'm going to carry on where I left off. Just a quick recap. I went through kind of the end user experience. We spoke about the tools, what we've got there today, and where we're going a bit in the future. I'm just going to quickly cover the mobile app. Okay, you can access ShareFile data repositories. You can access your connectors, your network shares, SharePoint, and if you really want, you can actually enable the Office 365 connectors and personal cloud. I don't see personal cloud wide adoption, you know, Box, Dropbox. Office 365, yes. Single application, multiple repositories, allows you to create and edit documents into those multiple repositories. There's a single pane of glass, so you don't even have to exit the application and open the file into another app, edit, and bring it back. It's all nice and easy to do. You can kind of sign, signature, you know. And we've got right signature if you want to take it a step further.
So iOS only? Or
For now.
Okay.
If we get the screens for Android, I'm sure it won't be difficult to do. We've got a few use cases around the Nordic regions for Android as well.
Is right signature, how is that in relations to, in the Nordics or in Denmark, we have something called NemID, which is, if you use your NemID to sign something, then we assure it's you. How does right signature work in that way? How can we make sure that the person signing the document is actually who the person says he is?
Well, the right signature is based on email, so if I get a user sign a document, it uploads from my on-prem up to right signature servers. You sign it, so you authenticate, you get an activation email, you authenticate, you go and sign the document, and every single move you're doing, even when you're trawling through the document, is tracked.
Okay.
So the moment you sign, it copies the file back to the storage zone. So we have a copy on the storage zone, but one always stays with right signatures. So that gives us the official, I can take it to court in 5 years' time, and it stands. It's an officially approved signature functionality that we can actually take into a court of law and it will stand. That's the only way they can do it at the moment. There is talk about building up another control plate type of thing for right signature in EU. Or talk about bringing in something on premise, totally. But again, it has to be secure so someone can't manipulate that signature, manipulate that digital document. It has to be really robust and secure. But that's a stretch goal, probably 2016 to 2017 early. But it comes with platinum. You know, I think that the US market will adopt it quicker. And we do find EU customers adopting it as well in the Platinum package, but obviously not as much because of we've got a copy in the right signature, we've got a copy on premise. So I'll be kind of straight up with that. But I think it's an awesome tool. It's so easy to use, but it stands in the court of law, which is the main thing.
Yeah. Court of law in the US, have you tested it anywhere else? Because I have a lot of law firms that is asking me about this feature, and do you know if it's approved in court of law in Denmark or the EU?
In EU, yes.
Okay.
And we've got some documentation that can show security documentation for EU laws.
Okay.
It does comply, but you know, there's different laws in different countries that it takes it that step further. So we've got to kind of take each scenario as it comes in.
Just promise you won't use this technology to actually make us read the 86 page and you'll just click yes.
Joel uses it for tests. So he'll send us a kind of SE test, and we have to go through that and scroll through the document and tick the boxes and submit, you know. So yeah, it's a...
What's an email from the manager?
Yeah, he gets an email, it's complete, what time, exactly, when you scroll, when you click, it's like forensic. The nice thing about the mobile app is you can kind of restrict any file from coming out of there, so you just disable the external application access. And it's always encrypted in transit and at rest in the mobile apps. That's by default. So what's coming? Sharing for connectors. Do you get customers wanting to share something from SharePoint on a network share? You get it from work. All right, that's the next goal when we rewrite Worksmail into V3 API. But what we're going to do is, you know, for example, we've got the user, we've got Microsoft SharePoint and SIFs, you know, working with storage zone controller. You know, connectors are working, no problem. So that user wants to share a file externally. So what's good about it, we'll be able to kind of I'll show you the mechanism of how it works, but we're able to share something outside the company using the ShareFile platform to leverage. Now, it's not only, it says network shares and SharePoint, we say other document repositories, because ultimately we can actually stretch that to other connectors that we support, especially on-prem. So for the moment, it's going to be network shares and SharePoint. And you can kind of use your security policies which you've got around ShareFile, because ultimately the file is coming from SharePoint or network share, a copy into ShareFile, and then from there, you know, if you've got some DLP integrated, you can scan out the DLP, and then you can kind of govern how it gets shared. What happens that user wants to share a file? A copy of that file will go through to the storage zone controller, and it will go down to your file box. And if you've seen your file box, that's used for the Outlook plugin. Okay, that area, it's a temporary staging area. And then it commits the metadata up to there. So you've got the file, a copy of the file in ShareFile. And again, if you're scanning that storage zone controller and you're saying, well, if it's unscanned, I don't want to share it, then you won't be able to share it. But as soon as it's scanned and it's okay, that person can actually download the file or view it or whatever you've given them access to. So that user, that third-party client, will log in and authenticate as normal with a client account. They will access the file from Firebox. It's a technology we've had with our Outlook plugin, but now we're kind of officially going to support it. And then it works now. So this is the drive mapper, which is coming as well. And what it does, it gives everyone just a little S drive, for example. You can change that drive to whatever you like, but the end user sees their map drive as per usual. They've got access to their ShareFile data repositories here. They've got network shares and SharePoint, which is good.
Does that always go to the root, or can you link this to a subfolder?
To a root. So for the moment, it's click it and you choose which drive you want.
Is there working through a NetScaler remotely? Internally, is there an automatism to know where the client is located? So it's kind of beacon technology that Citrix Receiver does. Leverage, is there the same technology behind it? For notebook users, for example? Or is it hard-coded, always going to the same server?
So ultimately, to set it up, you have to just go through the process of setting it up with your ShareFile account.
Yeah.
So whatever your web interface or whatever your mobile app sees, that sees too. It's not
I mean, connectivity. How does the client connect? Is it a web dev connection?
No, it just uses the HTTPS as normal, as what the clients do, the APIs.
Okay.
So it would probably go to the Netscaler, it goes to the SASTIF for any authorization of downloads. It's the same flows of data for ShareFile data repositories. For network share, the same thing. You know, you click a network share, you can get it going to the Netscaler, or you can actually, or outside, for example, and then in, but you can actually do split DNS and getting it routing to the network share internally. This I see for virtual desktops. This will be XenApp desktop in the future. The version 1 is going to be SMB focused, but our goal is to merge this and on-demand sync together. Because the folder structure is better than on-demand sync, I think, because if you think you've got your files there, you don't have that grayed out kind of scenario that you have to double click and it just looks like your files are there. You can browse through, you can go through dragging and dropping, command prompt, and that's where we're seeing the big adoption. And I think that what we're going to do is a single installer, and then you're going to say, do you need offline usage, do you need it on demand, and it will install to the appropriate desktop. So whether it's virtual, it will be on demand.
So, have you guys considered a shell extension instead of drive mapping? Because a shell extension would just make it visible under this computer, and then you have a share file, you click and you don't go anywhere.
Is it not something you had originally though? That integration with the Windows Explorer on the left? It was used to present the shortcut on the left under the favorites.
It was a shortcut to a folder rather than
that was
a shell
a
extension.
folder. That was a favourite to just a bunch of folders.
Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't really like, I think what you're saying is kind of...
Yes, with ability, if I go to a folder, offline this folder, offline this file.
See, the scenario is that the hybrid approach what we're going to take is, when you choose I want things offline, we want to have that selective offlining as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if I choose, I don't want to be able to have to choose a whole shared folder to offline. I want to choose a subfolder really deep down and offline that, and the rest on demand or just local. So that's the future goal, definitely. But Q1 we're looking at starting to amalgamate it, and then I think we're going to have to do some kind of nice features there. Because I can't see an all or nothing approach. Oh, I want it offline and it does everything. That's not the right way. We're going to have to be able to selective sync for offline. And for virtual desktops, you'll just choose the on-demand mode. But we're going to merge the technologies, because I think we're finding the next release of on-demand sync, which is in Q4, or this quarter, is the final release of on-demand sync. So the next one in Q1 is going to be the merge. When we get it enterprise ready and merged, it will have group policies and controls.
Do you do something with the My Documents? The replace the traditional home
Redirection,
redirection or something like that, so that you can just skip all that. Let's see Windows.
Yeah, the reason when it was people wanting to put My Documents straight in there.
Yeah.
And if anyone was doing folder redirection and had the My Documents on a network drive, it used to cause corruption. So we used to have this, the old repository, the sync tool used to be in the My Documents once upon a time. We took it out there because of the problems. So kind of like, we're not really involved with the My Documents as such.
Okay, so you still have in a session the Windows style documents. Maybe you can send that somehow, and then you can focus on this.
Yeah, because we're finding that customers or end users I know they're used to My Documents, but they still embrace new repositories. I mean, they download an app from the App Store and they're happy to use a new structure there.
I just put a shortcut to my document, to my folders, files and folders, next to My Documents. And instead of going into My Documents, I just go into my files, files and folders. And it saved my ass because I had to reformat my hard drive. So almost all my documents were on ShareFile. And I didn't have to worry about, of course I forgot about configuration files and some unique apps.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. That's what we would want the end users doing.
And the response time is as if I'm directly connected.
Yeah.
So there's no delay at all.
No, that's good. And also when you've got some kind of internal DNS, split DNS, then when you're uploading files, you're going to get redirected more internally, so it's much quicker when you're internal. I always shy away from taking traffic outside and back in again, because most firewalls block it. But it's a neat tool. Again, version 1's not going to be the enterprise ready, but the stretch goal is to have it GPO, policy based, roll it out, you know.
When are you creating the Mac connector?
Yeah, we were asked that before about giving the Mac some evenness, because at the moment the Mac's just kind of slightly fallen.
Yeah.
We're looking at, I think, well, we were trying to maybe do something by Q4, some type of beta. I think it might be a Q1 type of goal to get something for Mac.
At least it's coming. Okay.
We have to, we can't leave it behind. I mean, I've got some updates that are, you know, on my, you know, on the track of the Mac sync, you know, but they're really kind of Q1, Q2 is where we're going to have selective sync, remote wipe and stuff like that. But I want to kind of see this kind of function similar on a Mac. So it's going to come. All right, so my desktop. There we go. Right, okay. So all data is on demand. Now this is where, you know, the caching location, we want to specify the group policy, so we kind of control that, roll it out with a cache, not people to choose. So this is why version 1's not going to be the enterprise product, but we're getting there. Oh, this is the one. Yeah, you were interested in the Microsoft relationship. So we started off with ShareFile and Azure, so we integrated our storage zones with Azure Blob. So we found a lot of customers were given loads of Azure Blob storage for free. So we instantly supported it. And now I don't see that happening much from Microsoft. So it's like, here, take some blob storage, and they're like, oh, actually you integrate with ShareFile, so let's pull that away. But that was our first integration point. Now, we've had it for a while, our Citrix managed storage zones or our cloud options, you can do viewing of files. So you can click the file just to view it, and it opens with the Office web app servers in Microsoft. Office editing, it's there today. Okay? And I'll show you some slides a bit later on with that. But we can use Office 365 as a way to edit the documents with Citrix managed storage zones. It's not working with customer managed, with the limitation, again, with the Microsoft side of things, but we're getting there. Office for iOS and Android, we're kind of, you can choose ShareFile as one of your locations in the Office apps now. So it's the one way, ultimately, we're looking to integrate so we can bring ShareFile documents back and forth, you know. So connector to SharePoint Online, and I've shrunk OneDrive for Business, as you see. Put it down there, little in there. That's really, I see SharePoint Online as being, you know, extending your intranet into SharePoint Online. I don't really want customers to be plonking OneDrive for Business in there, and, you know, it's just like, I want them to use my files and folders and ShareFile, but, you know, we integrate with that. Cold editing's coming soon. And as soon as Microsoft make their announcement, we'll switch the button on, as I said earlier.
And then you'll get a million support calls asking you to switch the button on our account.
That one you can actually find. Yeah, we'll probably end up enabling it on the back end to all the accounts automatically, and then you can enable it from the advanced options, admin.
So consistency.
Yeah, that's what I think. When we release, they should have, just enable it and give you the option to enable it on your account. So this is the integration at the moment with, you know, the iOS apps of Microsoft. We can kind of open, choose ShareFile as a location, and pull the file from ShareFile in. But we want the flow to take it back out. So there's that whole, that's coming, but that's something that Microsoft are working on. Yep, this is the one here. So I can right-click any document now, edit the document, sign in with my Office 365 account, put my credentials in there, and edit the document. The moment I close that, it saves it back down to my storage zone, which is, sorry, Citrix managed. Again, I would like that to save for customer managed, but not yet, but it's coming. So view-only sharing, that's out now. That's always been out for Citrix managed storage zones, but on-premise as well. What customers can do is ultimately just deploy their own server on-premise to render. And so this is, I mean, it doesn't prevent, right? It kind of deters a little bit. Prevent, if you give me a view only, I can take a photograph or something. Right? So it's not preventing, but it's kind of eliminating that whole, I've got the file and I just share it and send it via another mechanism or email it to 100 people. So what we did view only sharing to support on-premise, and what you need to do is actually deploy an Office web app server on-premise and just configure your storage zone controller to talk to the Office web app server. It takes the file out of there and it renders it inside the customer's infrastructure and give someone view only. What's nice, we can kind of create view only links. We can set up a permanent folder space. So our mobile clients, web UI, ShareFile desktop, you can make it just a view only shared. You can use it in web UI, view only shared. You can give it views per user as well. So one view per user, for example. But again, if you try it from the same browser and the same session, you can open it multiple times. The reason why we can do that and expire it very quickly is because someone will be viewing it and then suddenly it will disappear. So that token stays open for a long time. But if you change computers, you won't be able to open it. Or you change browsers, for example. You can also add people to the folder and just give them view access only, like clients externally. And you can do that from the mobile app, and you can use the web interface and give the permission just view only there. So that's something there. It supports on-prem and Citrix Managed. So I'm going to flick through these kind of ways of sharing. We've got 3 ways of sharing. We've got anonymous, which is this, send something out, okay, people can view it, they can download it. And this is the web app server on-premise. It will support these kind of formats here. And we've got a mobile-friendly UI, so if you shrink your web interface now, it actually goes into a mobile-friendly version, so that was something new. But your audit trail on anonymous sharing is just timestamped. So enterprise customers are saying, well, that's no good for me on my reporting. You can ask for information. Again, it's anonymous, but with information. I can put anything in there. So it doesn't really kind of give you the more secure audit trail. You get the name and email, but it could be fake, because that's an anonymous link. Now, you can request recipients to log in. We can force this down on your account as well. Again, that's a back-end change. That's something that's not exposed, not advertised, but if you say, I've got a customer, they want to lock down the links, we set that on the account, every link will go out requiring authentication. And the good thing about that is that then you can control downloads per user. And this is an interesting one as well, because we've had customers saying, well, I don't want never showing up. So what we can do, we can kind of put 3 months into the database for this account, and it will drop off all these options above. So if you say, well, my customer wants maximum of 3 months, month, week, and a day choice for users, we can get rid of anything above it. So you give us the maximum, and everything else disappears. So that's kind of the customization again on the back end that is not exposed in admin interface.
So what kind of login is required then?
You need to authenticate. So employees, domain authentication. If you're an external client, it will create you a client account, and it will send you an activation email.
Oh.
And you activate, set a password, your company, and you have to authenticate every time with that. So what's good about that as well, if you kind of locking it down.
I was going to ask that, because obviously you have to authenticate with any account, email or whatever, that have access to it. Someone you've got the whitelist.
And that's again not in the admin UI. You have to ask. I've asked many times. Let's bring in the admin UI, so hopefully we can expose that for you to manage your list. You might have a list every day which is growing, you know. But whitelist. If I add my domain as the whitelist, I can't share to anyone. I share to Hotmail, Gmail, links won't work. They won't be able to log on with an account. Yeah. So that's really good. So you can get really kind of, as I say, draconian on your security. The OAuth lifetime, you can reduce that. It's set to never. So all your sync tools, they create an OAuth token. And they always work, don't they? They don't prompt you for credentials. And that's the way we don't hold any domain credentials, is we create an OAuth token. You can reduce that. So you can set it to 1, 7, 30 days. Or you can ask us to say, look, every 90 days, I don't care what they're using, I want users to have to be prompted for credentials again and re-enter credentials. The reason why the user experience would be kind of a bit ugly, really, if we did always popping up to authenticate. You can do IP blocking. Now, I'd be careful. You can, if you don't want to externally share with clients, we can block clients off totally. Okay? Some customers have actually requested it because they want to just do employee collaboration. Fine, okay, we can block clients totally. If you block employees, you can do it, but you'd have to have a good, mobility Zen mobile set up to allow your mobile apps to work on your mobile through MDX tunneled. You'd have to have people only using the tools in-house, inside, because you're going to trust the IPs internally to your network. The moment someone walks out with a laptop and logs onto a Wi-Fi, nothing's going to work, because it blocks the APIs as well. But we've actually enabled IP blocking for customers who have got a mobility solution and just managed desktops. One of our police customers, definitely, I locked it all down. And you can also configure two-factor for the master account as well if you want it ultra secure, because you can just log in anywhere ultimately with the email and password of the master admin, but better to put it through two-factor if you really want it secure, so people don't log in from home. You can disable sync, so untick that, generate a key, you can drop that in the registry or the plist on the Mac, and that will be for managed devices. So you put it in their registry and they can only use it. Someone goes home, installs sync, it won't work. It's like a kind of, someone called it a tattoo. So yeah, it's like a tattoo in the registry to disable sync. So
by the way, do you have a requirement for example, for an IDM system? Integration with IDM systems, closing and opening the accounts?
What do you mean, to close the accounts? Or?
Yeah, just blocking, just like you do for IP blocking. Maybe a central system just closes the account and opens when, for example, or closes when the user just leaves the company.
No, I haven't heard of that before. An integration with that. It's interesting. I'll take it back. Do you get requirements for that? Okay. No, that's a good thought. I just IDM here. Okay. I'll take that and see what we can, whether someone's come across that before. Because someone, you know, in PM will definitely know about it and say why or why not. They investigate absolutely everything at PM. So when I go to them with a question I don't know, there's a, you know, so the honest answer I don't know, but I'll take that away. That's good. Okay, so this is where we discussed before about the public store apps. You've got to have either Zen Mobile, you've got to have some other MDM in place, because we can give you an MDM file. You can deploy that with any MDM platform. And the MDM and the MDX have got a special code in them, those mobile apps. Meaning that when we disable that, only those will work on the platform, because these haven't got that code, the public store apps. So I'm going to quickly go through the mobile device security. We've got things out of the box. ShareFile, you can do self-destruct. Someone doesn't log in for a certain amount of days, the data goes and their account goes. You can enforce a PIN or passcode. This is one you can kind of disable the external applications, so they can't take the file out of the iOS or Android and take it anywhere else. And you can not enable offline access to files, so it doesn't synchronize down to the device. And you have to always be logged into the internet to be able to access data. Enable automatic login, that's for domain credentials. I kind of leave that to yes and enable this instead. And restrict modified devices, this is like more rooted or jailbroken. You've got some good reporting. This is what I'm doing as well, is we've got some decent reporting of what activity is happening. So we kind of track people who've viewed files, who've downloaded them. We've got some DLP stuff there. So now let's jump into the storage zone options, okay? I'm just going to run through this. Fragmentation, we're finding data is everywhere. I can't see it being consolidated in an immediate hurry at all. So let's go through the architecture. This is the ShareFile SaaS tier, the application tier, and we've got two separate architectures. One in Germany and one in US. Totally segregated. If you have a ShareFile.eu account, it has no relation or anything to do with that. You can't just grab that and migrate it over. You have to do it with start another account and migrate your data. There's no link between.
So a common limitation that's also with Office 365 is you'll have either, not both. So if you are an organization existing both in the EU and US, you would like to have EU users in the EU and US users in the US, which I don't think is possible.
With Office 365?
Yes, I don't think it's possible with ShareFile either, right? Because you choose what your subdomain is for the organization.
Yeah. So what you'll do, you have two separate accounts.
Yes.
But that's just control plane, not your data.
Yeah, that's just control plane. But
yes, but it also means that there's latency differences, right? So Compared to US, it's
it's
not that critical for file sharing.
You know what I find?
365, especially with Outlook, is worse. But
do you know where I find a lot of customers who have got US presence and EU presence? They're usually governed by probably US policies. They get a .com account, I found, or .eu, where the US are happy with the .eu account. It's either one or the other. I don't find people saying, well, we've got presence. We're a company. We've got presence in Germany. We've got presence in USA. I want 2 accounts. They usually kind of got the security model quite tied in, so they choose either .com or .eu. Financial customers we deal with, who are American-based, they get a .com account and they feed everyone around the world. So their storage can be local. It's not a problem, but it's the metadata. And with that metadata, look, it's either held in Germany. It never leaves Germany and goes to the US. There's no trespassing. The only thing they share common is the DNS. So if you have account.sharefile.eu and you want to transfer account.sharefile.com and you change your subdomains, you have to ask them to flush the DNS because it caches. So that's about it. The rest is segregated. We've got support, in Dublin. We've got support in Australia. We've got support in USA as well. So the user experience, again, this SaaS tiers, we update them every 2 weeks. We update them with bug fixes, features. Every 2 weeks we're updating those SaaS tiers constantly. And that's where the end user experience is delivered from. So if we've got a new feature coming out in our Android, etc., we start from there. We have to update that. We have to create everything from the control plane. And then the clients get the user experience delivered from there. So we start from there and then we do the change on the clients. So it's SaaS tier first and then clients after. And that's where, when I say login, a lot of enterprises are prompted and going to a SAML IDP. So they first go to ShareFile to have to log in to pull down the structure. The authentication mechanism happens with, a SAML IDP, but that's ultimately where they log in first. And the storage is always separate. It's customers choose where to put their storage, and the transfer always happens directly with storage. They never put the file up to the SaaS tier. It's always down there. You can do object file storage, you can put them anywhere you like, Citrix and customer managed, and then we've got partner managed as well, so we've got the multi-tenancy, and I'll explain a bit about that. So let's talk about the storage. I put it in a matrix because it's just constantly growing. So we've got the Citrix managed and the customer managed options. So object files, that's ShareFile data, my files and folders, shared folders and favorite folders. Okay, so you can opt to have Citrix managed. That's fully managed by Citrix. The customer doesn't even have to put anything or install or configure anything except their tools. They don't have to do Netscalers or anything. And this is a standard zone. Okay? Standard zone meaning, just upload, download, share, all the function. With customer managed, you can actually integrate with your on-premise DLP, and you can actually do a restricted zone. So you've got different options for customer managed. We use Azure or Amazon for Citrix managed. We've always been using Amazon, we use Azure, so we've got locations, in every Azure location and S3 location we've got presence. So you can choose, right, I want one in Singapore, I want one here, whichever you want, we can actually add them to your account on the fly, instantly, and they work. With customer managed, you can actually configure all these options to use cloud. And the customer can manage their own Azure and their own Amazon. So recently we integrated with the S3 connector. So you can put blob object-based storage. If you've got NetApp, Atmos, or whatever, you can actually integrate. And what's good about this is if you start using some encryption, files at rest, or any metadata encryption, the keys are always on the storage zone on premise. We don't have access to them as Citrix. So if you decide to delete all your keys, that's it. We have no access. Whereas you're finding, we've got a project, a stretch goal of KMS encryption, so customers can bring their own keys. We've got some competitors doing that now, but ultimately they've got access to those keys, and the file gets uploaded to them first, unencrypted, and they can unencrypt that file. So this restricted zone option is the full belts and braces of security. You delete your key, we can't access your data. We can't ever access it even when it's encrypted, that's the normal. So you can actually integrate with your own on-premise storage. Now, with the Citrix managed, again, you've seen how I can enable The cloud connectors is something that's hosted on Citrix managed zones, all the cloud connectors or personal cloud connectors. There's something that every zone in the global regions has got. Now, when you've installed something on premise or wherever, a custom managed option, you can actually enable connectors to SharePoint, file shares, and you can use the connectors SDK to develop your own. It's a nice project going on where we're going to be developing some things in the connector region, which is good. Yes?
I heard, it might be wrong, but I heard that software developed in the US, it's according to law, you actually need to build in a master decryption key that the NSA is able to get.
Really?
It's an export policy, I think. If you want to export American software to the US or either outside of America, this is a prerequisite.
The only way we've got, restricted zone option, the only way we've got access to that key is if you give us domain credentials. And we don't get domain credentials to anywhere.
But it's, the key encryption software is developed by Citrix, right?
Yeah, it's the actual AES 256 one which we put on the storage zone. It's, as soon as you create the zone, it creates an encryption key locally in the sckeys.txt, and it uses that key to encrypt the metadata. So we haven't got access to that.
Okay.
But the KMS, I think the KMS one, if we look at doing the Amazon KMS service, then yeah, well that will probably apply to that. And that's what competitors are doing. But again, it depends how much, I think we went belts and braces for the highest security. Maybe that's not what a lot of customers need.
So maybe the reason why this is possible is because this key has not been generated when the software has been supported. This is something that's done afterwards.
Yeah, the KMS one is you bring your own keys, I thought. So a customer can buy a bunch of keys and they can put their own keys and they can rotate them. With the storage zone, you just create the key and you can't interact with that key, you can't rotate it, you can't do anything. So if you lose it, it's finished.
So it's a very interesting discussion if you can actually be 100% sure that no technology is built in to actually, but that's a little near to conspiracy discussions.
Yeah, I don't think all I say to customers is don't lose that key, otherwise we can't help you.
NSA won't help you. Unless you're interested.
It's a bit of the it's a bit something that I just back it up, make sure you got it backed up. Because I don't think there's a way out. I thought that's the whole point of zero knowledge for us not to know anything. The multi-storage zone is something new that's come out. So we're CSP partners requested that, we've got customers of 50 users, they haven't got the appetite or any infrastructure to start deploying on-premise storage zones. They want the data to be kept in, in Denmark or kept in Norway or whatever, or in the, they don't want to use cloud. So the CSP said, well, we can build up a massive zone of terabytes and we can start carving it up for clients, so 50 users, 100 users, or small customers. And this is what we've done. We've kind of used that storage zone and carved it to be multi-tenancy. It's their data, we're getting CSPs are starting to adopt it.
When will it be available?
This is available now.
Right now?
Yeah. We've got a nice Q4 goal to get probably a few, I think 15k customers using CSP. So we're working with the CSP partners around the European region and in the US to get them ramped up and using. So they can put any storage they like in there. If the partner has got their own NetApp systems and they want to consume that, they can put it underneath. They can use Azure, they can use Amazon, they can use any type of storage. I think they're going probably a bit competitive to cloud storage. But the whole good thing is that it stays in that country, in that data center, so the customer trusts that provider that they've got the data for.
What's the pricing model for those CSPs and partners? Is it like, I don't know, per user, per gig?
No, it depends what the partner does. We've got the license model, it's really kind of low license.
Sure, okay.
But then it depends on the partners upselling their storage. Say, well, what do you want, 20 terabytes, or something ridiculous, or gig, and we charge you like that. So it's the customer, the partner charges the storage, we just charge the license for all the features, the output plugging, etc.
Okay.
So that's how, but the license is very, very small for the ShareFile piece. It's a CSP, so it's kind of a pay-as-you-go type of thing. It's not like we need 1,000 licenses. It's like as you on-ramp customers, it gets paid.
The idea is it like, I don't know, $10 per user? Is it?
I think it's $9 or something.
Okay.
Most partners aren't exposing the CSP licensing to the customers, they're just wrapping it in.
That's a service.
Yeah, from the obviously pricing point of view, idea of how much more it costs to have a ShareFile lay on the top of the storage.
They're doing the mathematics
Yeah.
of,
If you tell me
charging back
$10,
the
it's
storage.
like, it's the answer that I'm up to.
Yeah. It's kind of cheap and cheerful. But,
Yeah.
so the concept of storage zones is that, I'm just through a few customer managed storage zones there. You can kind of put some different types of parts of the globe. Customer or Citrix managed can be in any of our locations where we use with Amazon or wherever we've got with Azure. So you can choose these locations, not the purple ones, the blues and the yellows, or orange, sorry. You can choose those with Citrix managed, or you can actually do customer managed and use those zones. And what I did is
do you know whether Telefonica is utilizing ShareFile in DAS option? Do you know that?
Who is?
Telefonica in Spain.
They
just provided some DAS option and just wondering whether he's providing that multi-tenant option.
Okay, no, I don't know that Telefonica is doing that. I didn't know. But what we do, we just kind of leverage the two popular cloud vendors, which is Azure and AWS. So the finance department, let's say you've got a finance department across the globe, right? New York, London. You can put 2 customer managed storage zones there, and you're going to have DLP enabled. So integrate with your own DLP on premise. Then you've got the legal department. They want a customer managed restricted zone because that metadata needs to be encrypted. The file name mustn't get out because it might be a merger or acquisition. So they want that on premise, and we're going to stick that in Portugal. Okay. And then the marketing department, they don't care, but they're in Brazil. We're going to stick a Citrix managed storage zone there.
So how is it managed by the CSP? The CSP has the master admin, I think. And then how can the customer be sure that the CSP is not looking into this data or something like that? Is it possible to?
Well, the CSP is the trusted service, the provider on it, but the CSP has the main storage zone on their CSP account. Each customer has their own ShareFile account. They don't use one single ShareFile account. They use their own, and they add a little bit of storage zone from that shared repository. So ultimately, again, it's the partners managing their storage. They're a trusted partner to put in their data center, their data. I mean, they can use encryption and everything like that, but
Can I use multiple authentication providers with the CSP model?
Yeah. So each customer can have their own authentication provider because they've got their own account, they've got their own URL to log in, and they can use different authentications. That's why we kept it separate. We didn't have a single ShareFile account having 100 tenants inside that, because that would have been difficult to have different IDPs used for different tenants. Making a multi-tenant environment into a multi-tenant account has been kind of complicated. This way, everyone's got their own account, their own customization, branding, and they can edit. So I haven't got much time actually, I just want to rush through this. So the operations department, they're going to use Azure, they're going to go in America, and they're going to go down into Japan there. And then, so what the user sees, all this is happening in the background. So you've got restricted zones, you've got something that's just DLP scanned, and this is one company, they've got multiple zones globally, but the users, what they see, if they've got permissions to those folders, to them they don't know what's the back end using. I just kind of exaggerated that the finance lot are in New York and UK. Legal, they've got restricted zone. And then, marketing department. So you can spread zones globally, but the end user, that's the experience they see, folders. The admin takes care of that. Oh, what's going on? Wake up. DLP, just going to run through it quickly. What happens is, if you integrate DLP, we use the ICAP protocol. So if you've got a DLP which supports ICAP, it works. You find the Symantec, WebSense, McAfee, quite a lot of them. Most, you don't say all, most. So what happens, the user uploads a file, goes into the storage zone, kind of sends a copy out to the DLP, it gets scanned, and the scan is okay or rejected. There's only one or the other. If it's not being scanned and it's unscanned, it's just unclassified, and you can actually control what can happen there. So the DLP sends that back to storage zone, the storage zone sends that classification of okay, restricted. It doesn't send anything from unscanned, and then we can control the policies of how that gets shared. So I'll just quickly flick through to this one here. So any unscanned documents, I would leave that all ticked. So because the scanning queue depends on your DLP, how quick it's scanning. I think they're kind of pretty instant. If it's okay, you can share it and you can download it, and clients and anonymous people. If it's rejected, then only the employee can download it. So there. So we're running 2 minutes left, I think. So again, the restricted zones, just going to flick through it. What kind of control we kind of sent over back to the customer. Citrix managed was we managed everything except authentication, never did. For customer managed, we then put the data on premise for customers. They can do their own data. With restricted zones, we brought back metadata, upload, and SMTP notifications. That's the customer. You can't use our notification servers with restricted zones. So the more control went over there. This part we're never going to bring into the customer because that's the control plane. That's the whole software as a service experience, the end user experience of the phone. Hopefully get out of the way. How long have I got?
We're cutting it for time, so.
Okay. Right, I was going to go through some Netscaler stuff, but I'm going to send you the slides and you'll know them. Okay, I think we'll stop there. So it gets gobbled up in no time, doesn't it? 2 sessions. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Yeah.